Hey guys, this is Undercover Dudes all the way from Down Under, and today we're talking about LawBreakers, my favourite first-person shooter of 2016. Now before I start, I was flown out by Nexon and Boss Key Productions to an influencers event in Raleigh, North Carolina, where I had a massive play session with the game and was also able to go and talk to the devs. However, everything I say in this video is my own opinion, so let's get right to it. First up, the graphics, and oh Jesus, this game looks absolutely beautiful. It runs on the Unreal 4 engine and LawBreakers is a treat to look at, with an insane amount of detail being met at all levels, from the small natural light of the floor-bound LEDs reflecting off your weapon, to the beautiful 3D models of the playable characters, to the map itself. LawBreakers is a truly beautiful game. Talking about the map, there was only one that we actually played on, and that was called Grand View. Grand View is basically the Grand Canyon in the future, after the Japanese Yakuza bought it from the USA. It's a unique spin on an iconic location, and aesthetically it looks fantastic and it fits the theme perfectly. Now let's move on to what people really want to know about, the gameplay. The gameplay of LawBreakers breaks the mold of the modern first-person shooter. Speaking to CEO Cliffy B personally, he envisioned LawBreakers being an arena shooter, but in my opinion it's the 2016 reimagining of the arena shooter. One of the main features is the use of gravity. In LawBreakers, gravity is used as a tool rather than simply something to keep people on the ground. On Grand View, the middle section of the map is actually a low gravity environment, but a main point from this is that low gravity doesn't actually suck. Despite you floating around, you feel like you have full control of your character, and in-game, whoever takes advantage of this fact will come out the victor. It adds to the gameplay rather than taking away from it, and the potential is limitless. This links directly into the four classes: Enforcer, Titan, Vanguard, and Assassin. Each are completely different and each have pros and cons that the other classes can go and exploit. However, the one thing that they have in common, it's not like playing a normal first-person shooter. Each class has 3 special abilities, one on Q, one on E, and one on Shift. Now Shift doesn't mean sprint for many of these classes, and this is such a break from the norm, and Boss Key is absolutely fine with this, because it works perfectly with LawBreakers. This can be seen in so many game elements. Cliffy explained that some people suggested to go and implement a medic class just because other FPS games had medic classes, but he threw caution to the wind and didn't implement it, and the game is so much better without it. They're not following the generic FPS route, they're paving their own way, which is very good. Oh, and also, you press control to fire behind you, not the crouch. Why? I don't know, but they implemented it and it's really cool. But it actually does have a purpose, as firing behind you in the low grav scenarios makes you actually go faster, and you can go and kill people from behind you as well. It's really hard to do, but so rewarding if you can go and pull it off. Okay, so let's go and talk about the classes a little bit now. Now the first one is the Enforcer, and he's more of your standard class. He uses an assault rifle, but the assault rifle has a bit of a twist. The longer you fire, the fire rate and the damage increases. Now his Q is a rocket launcher and can hold up to 4 rounds, and that can actually go and lock onto enemies, so that is really cool as well. Now Titan is your massive tank, and he wields a very powerful rocket launcher, with his shift ability being a Hulk-like smash. Now he's by far the slowest class while walking, but blind firing behind you in the low grav zone makes you the fastest in the air, which is very cool. But the best thing about the Titan is his Q ability. You legit turn into Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars. You shoot lightning from your hands, and 1v1 this guy is absolutely unstoppable. But get 3 or 4 people of the enemy team onto him and you are toast. With a massive cooldown, you won't be using this ability for a while, and you really got to go and time it properly. You move so incredibly slow, but your health pool is insane, your damage is insane, and it is a really big power play ability. Now Vanguard is your machine gun guy, a bit tanky but has a massive arm mounted chain gun that shreds through people at low to medium range. And your Shift turns you into a jet with your afterburners, and your Q turns you into a Predator missile. Enough said, one of my favourite classes in the game. But by far my favourite class in the game is the Assassin, and it was a favourite of everybody that went to the event. featuring 2 blades as a primary that can cut through people like butter, and a grappling hook of sorts that you can use to go and swing around the map. The assassin is your squishy but very powerful carry. The Q ability is sick, it's called Frenzy. You slice around you in one really big motion, and basically you one-shot everybody that's close, and then you go and get wall hacks for a short duration of time, regaining health on kill. The common thread between these classes is that none of the 4 really fit the generic classes we see in other games. The Enforcer is more well-rounded than the others, with an assault rifle and, a bit of a rocket launch and a grenade or whatnot, but each class is really interesting in their own right. Each has a ton of depth that I can't possibly explain in one video, but it's more of a easy to pick up but difficult to master type scenario. Now I think it's time to go and talk about the mode we played, called Overcharge. Overcharge is simple. In the middle of the map, the low grav zone, there is a battery. Now, you pick up the battery and you have to stay in the zone for a while first, 5 or 10 seconds or whatnot, and then you can go and get it in your backpack and you can bring it to the base. Now, when you go and get it to your base, you've got to go and get that battery charged to 100%. You hold it for 20 seconds longer after that, and then you go and capture a point. First to 2 points wins. Now this mode is so easy to explain, but it is so much fun to go and play out. The reason I'm explaining it now is that Overcharge, the mode, is linked hand in hand to the map and the classes which I explained earlier. Map-wise, the low grav zone increases the chaos at the start and the frenzy of people trying to go and get the battery, and also when you go and get the battery from the enemy's base and trying to go and get it back to yours by stealing it, what you can do, you can go through the low grav zone, blind fire behind you, get so much speed and get your teammates to go and protect you, and it just makes it so intense with these really high speed chases. It sounds weird in a shooter, but that's basically what happened in game. And this leads perfectly into the timing of fights in this game. It's hard to explain if you guys haven't gone and played LawBreakers, but basically the pace of the match is dynamic. In LawBreakers, due to the ability cooldown and respawn time mechanics, the action ramps up the more and more as the game goes on, which climaxes at the game deciding play. So at the start, you have the big frenzy, everybody's trying to go and get this battery to the base, but once they get the battery to the base and your team is dead or whatever, there's a little bit of a lull, and then you've got to go and regroup, and as they're charging their battery, you've got to go and strategize and think, okay, how are we going to go and get it? And then there's another battle, and that battle can go and stretch on to be really long or really short, depending on how many people die, depending if there's a chase. There's so many ways that these fights can go and play out, but in the end, it will be back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, or it could be one-sided. If it's one-sided, the game's going to be like 5 minutes. If it's back and forth, it can go up to like 20 minutes. I think the longest game we had was 15 minutes, and that was really intense. So many times a singular play was needed to go and win the game, and when that one person pulled it off in that 1v5 or 1v whatever, and they did it, the whole room erupted in excitement, and I can't wait to see what happens with esports for LawBreakers, because I can see it being a very capable esport game. It is so fun to watch it. It's so fun to play it. Definitely a really good formula. Now, despite Boss Key Productions comprising of only 50 people, LawBreakers goes well and above the quality of a AAA game, while still retaining the indie feel. Walking around the studio, it felt like a family rather than just people coding out a game. Seeing the enthusiasm on their faces as they explain their in-development content was absolutely amazing, and each and every person at Boss Key really loved what they were doing. And this love is so easily seen in the game. The amount of blood when you slice open an enemy, or the explosion of the enemy when you go and do way too much damage, like a point blank rocket for a 10 HP target, the body just explodes. Like, nobody would have thought that up, but Boss Key did, just because they really wanted to go and make a super fun game. The devs told stories where Cliffy just went up to them and said, okay, I want this. And they said, okay, we can maybe do that. They bring him something, it went back and forth, and this whole LawBreakers universe goes and stems from one person's imagination. It's absolutely amazing. The fact they can go and produce a game which I believe is going to be the sleeper hit of 2016. I had the most fun time gaming I've had in a very long time. Those few short hours was so incredibly enjoyable, and I just can't wait to go and play more. Now, when I talked to the devs, and closed beta dates haven't been confirmed, but I got a soon after pressing a little bit more. But 100% the game is coming out this year. Let's go, boys, because this shit is gonna get lit. Early access, coming relatively soon. I don't know if I could say that, but there you go. I love this game. But other than that, it's Undercover Dudes all the way from Down Under. Out.